this is airing around daylight savings time. I've noticed when daylight savings time occurs that there's a shift in the sleeping patterns of the kids. So obviously when we move the clocks back, right? So if it's 7 o'clock, supposed to be 7, now it's 6, kid gets up earlier. And it takes a little while to transition back into that 7 o'clock mode. The reason why we're bringing this up is this very well could be the last daylight savings time.
Which as a parent would be wonderful.
Which would be fantastic. I just want to keep the time. I don't have to worry about twice a year fiddling around with the clocks, although no one fiddles around with a clock anymore. This used to be a big deal, though, right? When we didn't have digital clocks and phones.
Oh, you had to go around the house. I still have to do it on my microwave, my toaster.
Yeah.
It's and then my alarm system, it's usually a month I'm have the wrong time on there. But let's talk about time. So when you travel, because you do a lot of traveling back east with the kids and stuff, what do you do? Because I get a lot of questions from families when we travel. What do we do with the kids' routine while they're there? What do you typically do?
Well, we differ on this as a family.
Okay.
Lana wants to keep the kids on the time that we left. So if we're on the East Coast and the kids go to bed at 7, we are now going to bed at 10.
Got it.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
and if you're in France, you're going to breakfast at 2:30 in the morning.
Well, that's where that's where this all screws up. Let's adjust to the time,
right?
Because your body, and again, this is from me listening to other podcasts. Huberman, I think I heard this on the Huberman podcast, which is a very good podcast if you could retain the information. He was saying that your body's circadian rhythm adapts
there's no M in that word.
Circadian?
No, circadian.
I'm just saying. Again,
that's okay.
8 years of schooling, barely got out in 4.5.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Also, what I have done traveling and what helps me is as soon as I get to the destination, I find a patch of grass. I take off my shoes and socks.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, and I center myself into the earth, right? It's called earthing. Why?
You really do this?
Grounding.
You're literally just making things up here.
See, I know stuff, but I don't.
But I can't get it out. So you're grounding. You're an earthling that's grounding. Okay.
So what the theory is?
Yes.
And again, I've become very. I'm not credible. After I say something like that, whatever comes out of my mouth now, you're not going to.
I know, but nobody's listening to you for credibility.
But
yeah.
What it's supposed to do is connect you to where you are in the world, and somehow that the earth runs through your body.
Yeah.
It tells your body you're in Nicaragua,
right? And then you immediately are on that time zone.
Yeah, really? That's the theory. Now, what is the pediatric advice when traveling with kids?
I think going to the East Coast from the West is easier to stay on West Coast time, like your wife said, in only that circumstance because typically you're traveling, you're on vacation, you're with family. So if the child stays up later and sleeps in later, it's sort of a win-win for young infants.
Yeah.
I think going west, like going to Hawaii, is a disaster. Because when we went there and we had like 2 toddlers, they're up at like 3 in the morning because they don't know. I do agree with you. Typically within a week, usually sooner, they're adjusting to the time zone they're in, re-equilibrating. So you sort of go with the flow and know they may be a little more tired during the day and fall asleep when you sightsee or stroll, and then you're back on the normal schedule of where you are, which I agree. And then when you get back, same thing. It takes about a week. You get back into your routine as much as possible, and then they fall back in. I just find, because we go back east a lot, and I find heading east, it's easier to keep closer, though. Even though we do that, like the kids go to sleep later and sleep in later, honestly within 3 to 4 days they end up on East Coast time anyways.
Yeah, but you got older kids, and I think the adjustment for older kids is a lot different than say a 5 and a 3-year-old. That's why when we plan a somewhat of a vacation, it's like, it's getting there and then now adjusting the time. Like, Jesus, if we go to Italy from LA as
you
a
can't
family,
stay on Italy
right?
time, LA time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it takes 3 or 4 days even to get. It's not a vacation because the
right.
kids
You're
are
tired,
up. They're like,
you're
oh
sleeping,
yeah, they got to adjust.
You're grounding. It's the
I'm
whole
grounding, and I got to have time to do that. I gotta get the whole family out there in the sand. When are they able to like tell time? And this is what I'm dealing with at my house. Seraphina goes, how long is it going to take to get home? And I'll say 30 minutes. And she'll say, how long is 30 minutes?
Yeah, it's pretty abstract.
And then I say, do you know how long it takes you to watch an episode of Bluey?
That's great. That's exactly what I would say to do. That's very age appropriate because they can understand that.
Yeah.
And not exactly like that's 30 minutes, but they understand like, oh, around that time. As opposed to if I'm going to go from here to here and it's going to be 3 hours, that's a long time in their world. Mm-hmm. This is like how long you're at school.
Yeah.
To lunch.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm associating.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Well, thank you. Finally, I got a compliment. Jesus Christ. Here's another example. It's 7:00 at night.
Yeah.
And my daughter will go, is it middle night? Is it close to middle night? She goes, midnight, middle night. And I go, no, not yet. When is she going to be able to go, okay, 7:00, I normally go to bed. If it's 8, I know that's going to be an hour later. When does this happen?
I mean, later in elementary school.
Okay.
Yeah. So not for a 5-year-old because it's still a little abstract. That's why people are doing green light, red light, and sun, moon, and things like that because it's hard and they don't really know. It's more, imagery, right? It's dark now. It's closer time to bed. It's light now. Waking up, and then actually telling time is much later.
Okay. Yeah. Again, taking that little morsel of information and giving 3 examples from it is kind of the beauty of the show. We could take something completely unrelated to pediatrics.
So you want to get rid of daylight savings?
I would love it.
The opinions expressed in this program are not intended as professional medical advice, as a diagnosis, as a treatment protocol, or as a substitute for professional medical advice from your physician. Please consider your own medical history and consult with your own physician for your specific healthcare and/or medical needs and about your concerns for yourself and your family.